Are you thinking of moving and you're trying to figure out where to live in Calgary? Well, Southeast Calgary might be the place to you. Today, we're talking about the 5 pros and the 5 cons to living in Southeast Calgary right after this. Hey everybody, my name is Jared Chamberlain here at the Chamberlain Group Studios, and we are talking about the pros and cons to living in Southeast Calgary today. There are some pros and there are some cons. If you find value in what we are doing here, we would encourage you to subscribe so you can get more videos. If you're thinking of moving to Calgary from other places, we've had a ton of people move to Calgary in the last 6 months. And if you are one of those individuals who's thinking of making that move, we would love to help you out. Or if you're making a transition inside Calgary, we want to help you out. What do you think, Paul?
I think so. Calgary is a wonderful place to be.
It really is.
We're here to help. That's what we're here for. And
it's true.
If you're considering that move, reach out to us and we'd be glad to give you a hand.
It's true. And today we're talking about Southeast Calgary.
That's right. The pros and cons of living in the Southeast.
So you are a Southeast Calgary resident.
That's correct.
Is there like a fancy term? Southeasternite? No.
Southeasterian?
Ooh, Southeasterian, everybody. If you would like to become a Southeasterian, just stay tuned and we will figure that out for you.
That's right.
That was weird. Anyways, that was Southeasterian. So we're talking about the 5 pros, 5 cons. Let's jump into it. Let's just talk about it. So you want to start talking about some of the pros?
Yeah, awesome. So big, huge pro of Southeast Calgary is you have the option of what type of home you want to live in.
Yep.
Whether you're looking for an established neighborhood or whether you're looking for a new build that maybe you can choose exactly what finishings you want. The Southeast has all of those things to offer.
They really do. And the Southeast part has actually some of the best established areas when you start thinking of like Willow Park and Lake Bonavista, even Sundance. It's another lake community, but it's really established. There's a ton of actually renovation happening in all those areas too, right?
Just constantly growing and becoming newer and more up to date.
Yeah. And so and then like you said, newer properties. If you go out into some of the suburb, like further south and further east you can definitely start choosing places like in Mahogany and Auburn Bay.
Yeah, you even have Rangeview now building even further southeast in those
Rangeview, yeah.
Brand new community just going in the ground this fall.
Yeah. And it's interesting because they continue to build, right? So your options for styles of home continue to keep going up, which is great.
They do, and the styles tend to go with what people are wanting.
Yeah.
They tend to follow what they're seeing as a trend for what people are looking for and design the homes accordingly to fit that need.
Totally. All right, so that is number 1. Number 2 we were talking about is amenities. So this is hospitals, and what else is down there?
That's right. So down in the Southeast, you actually have the world's largest YMCA down in Seaton.
Yeah. Did anyone else know that? Is it literally the world's largest?
It is literally the world's largest YMCA.
There you go.
The Northwest used to be able to claim that with the YMCA.
Up in Rocky Ridge.
Up in Rocky Ridge there until we took that over in the Southeast
Seaton
again.
Stole it.
That's right.
Crazy. So what are some of the amenities? So your family, you've lived down there for a while. What are the things that you find so convenient? You guys are more in the suburbs versus like the Lake Bonavistas closer to McLeod, but in those areas, what do you guys find is so handy and so great about the amenities down there?
Yeah, with the amenities, we actually find ourselves hardly ever leaving.
Yep.
You have any sort of restaurant you want down in that area.
Yeah. And a lot of like inner city restaurants coming into the area too, so like local stuff going in there too, right?
That's right. You're finding a lot of inner city restaurants, different franchisees that are moving restaurants down to the Southeast.
Yeah.
To hit that demographic, because we do have a lot of those things. We have the movie theaters, we have every grocery store imaginable down there.
Yeah.
Whether it's your small grocery stores, your specialty Italian places,
all of them,
to your big box stores, they're all down that way.
Cool. No, that's good. That's good. So yeah, and then the third one that we came up with is actually one of my favorites, and you can't completely claim the Southeast has it only because it's a part of the Southwest as well. Right. But Fish Creek Park.
Absolutely.
Man, I grew up down in that area and biking, and it's still one of my favorite places to go biking and get in and get lost and have fun. So I don't know, what are some of your adventures in Fish Creek, and maybe explain to people who've never been there, what is that like?
Yeah, Fish Creek Park is a complete unique park in itself if you've never been there, running right along the Bow River, as well as Fish Creek, obviously, which is where it gets its name.
Yeah.
You find everything from fly fishing opportunities to walking paths, paved, gravel, and dirt.
Yeah.
You're finding lots of opportunities, whether you're going out as a family for a nice calm walk or going for a mountain bike ride in the city still.
Yeah, or even like doing fire pit stuff.
Absolutely.
You know, there's a lot of shelters you can rent for fire pits and that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, it has the shelters you can rent for sure, as well as just
not rent, you just book.
You book them.
I don't think you have to pay for them.
I don't think you do.
It's all city stuff.
Shh, at least not yet. Don't tell anyone. There's lots of pits there in different areas as well, and it feels as if you're out camping in the park, able to have those campfires. But when you live in the Southeast, it's only a 5-10 minute drive from home to get there.
And a part of that too is Sukhumi Lake is a part of Fish Creek, which is kind of at the end in the southeastern part of it all. I don't know if they've been open for a while or not, but that's another part of the park there, which is great. So, and speaking of lakes, I wasn't even trying to do this, but what does Southeast have?
Southeast Calgary actually has all but 2 of Calgary's lake communities.
That's crazy.
So if you're looking for that unique opportunity to live in one of those lake communities, the Southeast really will have the most options for you.
And from all price points too, because you've got stuff from brand new where you can get a condo or a townhouse, all the way up to, and in those communities like Mahogany, like you've got also like multi-million-dollar homes there, but you can go all the way to Lake Bonavista, established big lots, you know, all that and everything in between, actually, between all the lake communities.
Oh, absolutely. Every single price point out there, whether you're looking to spend as little as possible to whether you're a 7-figure spender wanting that luxury home.
Yeah, on the lake.
On the lake, you will have access to that.
Yeah. Some of the lake homes, like I've been through, obviously, because I grew up. Did you grow up here?
I didn't.
Okay.
I grew up in Ontario, which is actually one of the reasons why I love my lake communities.
Ah, that makes sense. Okay, I get that now. So I grew up here, and we always had friends in different communities, and we'd always go to those lakes because we grew up down south. And I remember over the years and even up to now, you see some of those houses on the lakes and they're just beautiful, right? And I've seen some go as little, I mean, it's still a lot of money, but like $8, $9, $1 million up to multi-million-dollar type properties.
Absolutely.
But that is an option where it isn't really an option in pretty much anywhere else in the city.
Nope, and you're still getting those opportunities on the lakes. You're able to buy those older homes in some of those established neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Lake Bonavista, for example, if you go to the lake and take a look around, you have some of the original homes that were built there. Yeah. But you also have newly renovated homes on the same lake.
And even what I find crazy with Lake Bonavista is they've actually bought, let's call it an $800,000 home and spent, basically that for the lot, knock down the house and rebuild, another 1.5 or another $1 million house on top of it. So that stuff is happening in some of those lake communities, and you don't have to buy or spend that much to be at the lake, but we're just saying, like, it's really interesting that there's that goes back to number one, you have so many options for styles of homes in the Southeast and different lifestyles. So that's cool. It's good. Yeah. So the last one is actually talking about if you currently live in the Southeast. The Southeast right now in this market, and it has been for a number of months, it actually has the lowest months of inventory. So what that means is essentially there's no houses to sell. No one's moving. There's more demand than there is supply. That's the simplest way to look at it. And right now, the southeast part of Calgary is actually seeing the most increase month over month, year over year in their benchmark type prices, where we're in October right now. And the stats that we just pulled up quickly, it showed 10% increase year over year, where everyone else was under that, every other quadrant. So for detached homes anyways. So that's huge. And I know you've been helping some buyers and possibly sellers in those areas. But why do buyers want to be there when they're looking for houses like this in the Southeast?
Yeah, the buyers are wanting to be there for the reasons we mentioned above.
Yeah.
It's a lot to do with the neighborhoods.
It's true. A lot of families.
A lot of families.
A lot of kids. Yeah.
You can get a lot of affordable housing as well down that way.
Yeah.
You're not as restricted as you are in some areas.
Yeah. Like I remember this summer, we had, like, Rebecca had a client that ended up buying a house, and it was around $350 or so. I'm just trying to remember. But it literally was a 4-minute walk to the gates of their lake. Yeah. And so, again, like, it's huge. And so buying in this area can be a little bit tougher.
It is.
But it can be worth it for the cost, right? And the pain of trying to get into the market, because there's just not a lot of inventory right now.
For sure. But that pain also just falls back on us, because as your representative, when you're looking for a house, it's really our job to find you the right house for you. And even if that means that it's not currently for sale, it doesn't mean that we won't be able to find it for you.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just patience and figuring it out. It's
Absolutely.
true. It's true. All right. Well, let's jump into the cons. So there are cons.
There's always cons.
There's always
Jared.
cons. There's always cons. And so one of the things so this is funny. In Calgary, you're kind of a south or a north person.
That's right.
And you typically never cross once you've lived one or the other. It's just something that happens. So I grew up down south, but I live up north now. So
I first lived in the north, and I live down south now.
Really? Okay. So we need to arm wrestle here. So what's interesting is one of the things I remember growing up down south, and even now when you're driving around, getting into the southeast, if anyone knows where Anderson Drive is, or Anderson Road, sorry, when you're on Deerfoot and you're heading into Anderson, getting into the suburb part of the southeast,
across the river.
Right across the river, yeah. It really bottlenecks. It's gotten better. Traffic has been eased, but there are a few bottlenecks because the river goes through the southeast, over those bridges and that kind of stuff. It does create some traffic problems getting in and out of that part of the southeast, right?
Oh, absolutely it does. And especially when you see weather changes.
Yeah.
Bridges, we all know, get slippery. They get icy.
Yeah.
Which leads to a lot of accidents.
Yeah.
So where the roads narrow and cross the river, which you mentioned is very limited spots, it can back up.
Yeah. Yeah, it can definitely slow things down for sure. The other one, and you brought this up, was the access to C-Train. So there is a C-Train that goes down McLeod Trail, but again, on the other side of the river, east of the Bow is what you said, east side of the Bow. Maybe talk about that.
Yeah, east side of the Bow, you really, in order to get to the train downtown, your options are 1 or 2 buses to take you across.
Oh, are they kind of like express buses? So they kind of skip more stops and it's quicker, or no?
For the most part, they are.
Okay.
Not all of them by any means, but it's definitely a ride to even get to the train before you can get downtown.
Right.
But that being said, Green Line is supposed to be built.
Yeah.
Supposed to come down to the southeast, down through Mahogany and Auburn Bay, and sort of end down there in Seaton.
Yeah.
But it's a matter of time.
Yeah. When is that going to happen?
When's that going to happen? Yeah. For some people right now, they're looking for a home they can access that immediately.
Totally.
They don't want to wait 5, 10, 15 years or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So getting to that train is critical for some people, especially those who are working sort of in the downtown core where transit is the best option for them.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. And the third con that we have is in the southeast part of Calgary, there is a large industrial section.
There is.
And it's kind of like north of New Brighton and east of Douglasdale and Quarry Park. And it's kind of tucked in there. And it takes up a lot of land.
It does.
And so, I mean, you live down there. I've obviously never lived in that pocket. So how does that affect people living in that area in the southeast?
Yeah, I'd say for the most part, the biggest way it affects people is it somewhat bottlenecks things.
Okay.
Like kind of how we have that bottleneck in a very similar area along Deerfoot.
Yeah.
You're having those industrial areas pushing in where the residential had to grow out the bottom and balloon out underneath.
Yeah.
Which almost sometimes can make it feel segregated from the rest of the city.
That's fair.
So as much as living in our private lake communities, we like to be a bit segregated. It's not always the case when you're trying to get places.
No, that's true. That's true.
Shepherd landfill is also down in that industrial area.
Right.
Which, depending on where you live, you need to be very cautious of it.
Yeah.
As we all know, dumps can smell.
Yeah.
So there are certain neighborhoods, certain areas that we need to be a little more cautious about, depending on what you're looking for and whether or not you're okay with the occasional scent coming over.
Yeah. So really, it's kind of like, you don't want to sit downwind in the savannah is kind of what you're saying here. Like
Absolutely.
Timon and Pumbaa. That's who that said that, I think.
That is.
Yeah. Sweet. Nice. My girls will be proud. All right. The fourth one is actually one that I brought up, and it's not just the Southeast, but in a lot of newer areas in the Southeast has this, is the lot sizes. So specifically thinking of communities like Mackenzie Town, New Brighton, and that whole little section there, some of the lot sizes are a lot closer. And but what the new suburbs and the developers have been doing is trying to introduce more green spaces behind and around and that kind of thing too. And that's exactly what you said. As soon as I said, I'm like, lot sizes I find in the Southeast can be a little bit tight. So you end up having more rear garages in some of these areas too. So then there's more cars on the front and it makes the roads tighter. So it some areas can feel tight. But like you said, your initial response as soon as I said that is, well, because
so because of how tight these houses are being built, it's the exact reason why we chose our lot.
Yeah.
We are on quite a narrow lot, but we back onto that green space.
Right.
So our smaller lot in a newer build doesn't feel as small because we have access to green space behind us.
And the visual feeling that can create can change the feel of the lot quite quickly.
Oh, absolutely. And the newer builds down in the Southeast are definitely putting a lot more pathways behind. They're putting a lot more playgrounds in behind as well, especially when they're front garage homes.
That's true. The opposite of that. Yep.
When they are laned homes, you obviously do feel somewhat tighter, especially the homes with the garages on them.
Yeah.
Feel a bit tighter together. You are getting that smaller yard. The roads are always busy.
Yeah. But I find it funny because garages are made for cars, but so many people use them for storage. And we've never done that. It's like, no, this is what it's made for. So we will always park both cars in there. And we have some friends that are always surprised by that. And they're like, you park both your cars in your garage? It's like, well, yeah, that's what it's there for. So I don't know.
Absolutely it is. I see that. And I also see the opposite side of it as I live currently in a laned home.
Okay.
Because not all the laneways are paved down in the Southeast and the newer communities.
Yeah.
People aren't wanting to take their nice cars down their lanes in the winter per se.
That's fair.
Sometimes they're wanting to still park out in front of the house, which means you can store your bikes, you can store your tires, your snowmobiles, your boats. All of your toys can go in the garage.
It's true. It's true. Do you have all of those toys?
I have none of those.
Okay. So the last one is, it was a big problem for a long time, but it's actually getting a lot better. And that is the access to the mountains.
That's right. Initially, the Southeast was almost deemed the furthest point in Calgary from the mountains.
Yeah.
We didn't have any major roads going out there.
Yeah.
The 22X shoots straight out into Bragg Creek.
Which made it longer.
Which that was about it. Unless you were looking to go to Bragg Creek.
Yeah.
You had to go through the city.
Yeah.
You had to hit that bottleneck up on Deerfoot to get up into the middle of the city to drive straight through town and then out to Trans-Canada.
Yeah.
Sutina Trail going in.
Yep.
That extension is doing wonders for getting out to the mountains from the Southeast. Recently, we've even seen probably 10 to 25 minute decrease in time to get out to the mountains from the Southeast because of the one section of road.
Yeah.
This is only going to get better as they continue opening the final stages of Stony Trail there and finally complete our ring.
Yeah, well, and right now it only is going to, I think, about Glenmore Trail roughly. So that's Highway 8 that goes out in between Bragg Creek and Highway 1. And so, but once it gets fully connected, and I'm assuming it's going to be in the next couple of years, it'll tie in right up to Highway 1. So you'll be able to go from, let's call it, if you think of the map, you go from Mahogany and you'll be able to go all the way around right to Highway 1. And It probably would only take
20,
12,
25 minutes.
well, probably 15 minutes. I mean, right now you can go from Cedar Brae into inner, like north, like where our office is, in like 15 minutes now. Like when you use that, it's crazy. So I feel like it could only take maybe 15 minutes, on a good day
that section of
to
road.
get that whole thing to get to Highway 1, where it could have taken like a half an hour.
Oh, you're seeing
before,
that 15,
right?
20 minutes from Glenmore Trail taking Sarcee up to the Trans-Canada right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's eliminating all of those stoplights.
Yeah.
Whereas before, Sarcee or Highway 8 were your options really to get out that way, and neither were a great option.
Totally. Well, this is good. Well, thank you for bringing this up and talking about the Southeast Calgary pros and cons. And if you are thinking of making a move to the southeast part of Calgary, let us know. We want to help. There are so many options out there, whether it's a condo, whether it's a townhouse up to a detached. Like, there are so many incredible options in Southeast Calgary that you can choose from. So we didn't even get into schools. Like, there's great schools. Like, there's so many good things about the Southeast as well. So we want to hear from you. So if you've got pros and cons about the southeast part of the city, put them in below. We want to hear that as well. Play nice, but let's hear that, and let's converse in the comments below and continue the conversation. But again, if you have anything or have questions or want anything from us, reach out to us at info@chamberlaingroup.ca, or feel free to give us a call at 587-316-5400. And I think that's all for us, Paul.
Absolutely.
There you
reach
go.
out to us there, or reach out directly to myself as well.
Totally.
I like to say just call Paul,
Just call
403-804-3596.
There you go. All right. Well, we are out, and that's what we have. So enjoy your day and get out and look around the southeast part of Calgary if you've never been there. All right. We'll see you guys later.